Hey everybody, how you doing today? We have an amazing topic. We are going to be talking about the 5 awesome benefits of CBD, but we're also going to discuss what you need to know about CBD oil before you spend another penny on it. Now, my name is Dr. Russell Brockstein. I'm your top-rated Freehold, New Jersey chiropractor, and as a guest on our Facebook Live, I'm going to have Dr. Tim Harrigan. He's a chiropractor out of Arizona, and he also does functional medicine. He introduced me to plant-based formulas to help patients be more healthy naturally, but also while trying other CBD products in the past year, I saw some benefits, but talking to Dr. Tim, he actually educated me about what we are going to introduce you today about the problems with the CBD oils and how to get the most out of CBD. So I am just waiting for a couple people to get on board and also trying to find Dr. Tim. There he is. And now we're just going to try and get him to join us. So there we go. It's just going to take 1 second, and we wanted to start about 3 o'clock. A little technical difficulty. Looks like we have Dr. Tim on with us right now. Hey, Dr. Tim.
How's it going?
Oh, going great. I already told everyone about our great topic today of the 5 amazing benefits of CBD and what everyone needs to know about CBD oil. So, let's start talking and telling everybody some things that you've already told me about.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, this is not news to anybody probably watching this. CBD is the buzzword lately, right? It's amazing how the media guides our perception of what healthy is and what we need and when we need it. Vitamin D went through this trend, right? Magnesium went through a trend. Turmeric went through this trend. We've always needed these nutrients, and so we're trying to cut through the garbage because I'm honestly tired of all the deceptive marketing from these companies, all the crappy products where there's literally not a detectable amount of a vitamin or a mineral or the CBD in the actual product, which is crazy because it's an unregulated industry. So CBD is not necessarily what's important, which is funny. It's kind of like saying just the ascorbic acid out of an orange is what's good for you. Well, that's not what's good for you out of the orange. It's all the hundreds of little tiny doses of things that are good for you. So it's the plant that we want. It's not the CBD. CBD has amazing benefits, but what that is an isolated thing that they're researching to see how it affects this, how it affects that. But you can't isolate our billions of chemical reactions that happen in our body every couple hours, right? There's millions, every few minutes of chemical reactions. So you can't, our brains honestly can't even comprehend what's happening. So we want to keep that healing process up to the most natural process possible. So we want the plant. It's not about CBD. It's not about, I need more milligrams of CBD. Again, it's the comparison, doc, that we always talk about. It's like, they've done studies on apples, and there's over, I think, 600 things in an apple as far as phytonutrients that are good for us. And then they isolate the 5 milligrams of vitamin C in that apple. Well, that's great. That's how we want it. But when you isolate it, when I take that out of the apple, they've shown that it takes only 5 milligrams of vitamin C in the apple to do a better job in my body than 1,500 milligrams of isolated vitamin C. It's not about the milligrams. It's about having all the key players of that plant in there in tiny little doses, doing that synergistic effect of 1 + 1 + 1 is not 3, it's 500, right? When you have all of that stuff together. So it's not about these isolates. And when people start understanding physiology and nutrition a little bit better, it is not about these high doses of these isolates. It's about getting as many different things in the spectrum, tens of thousands of things in our nutrition, not just my macros, not just counting my protein. There's enzymes, there's phytonutrients that we've discovered. What about all the stuff in that apple that we have not discovered? So, I'm kind of just tired of the industry, people, putting these products that are garbage in these beautiful marketing packages, and, just selling it and touting and really just quoting third-party research to sell their product when it's really not even the plant itself because they've damaged the plant. So I like to, compare the fluid that we recommend. I don't even like saying CBD fluid anymore, honestly. CBD is the buzzword. People put it to these blinders on when they hear the word CBD. And that's an isolate. That's a very small part of these very healing plants that were discovered, I think, 10,000 years ago. So just a little background. My family has not, or I should say myself, I have not had a prescription medication in over 15 years. My kids have never taken medications before. We're not stupid. Of course, there's a time and place, and we'll use them when they come up as necessary. But people don't realize that you don't really need prescriptions to create better health. We need prescriptions to maybe affect a crisis situation. If I have a heart attack, something severe, but medications never create better health, and they never address the cause of the problem. So my gut has always told me that that's kind of the right way, even though I couldn't really explain it, 20 or 25 years ago. So again, I want people to understand plant medicine is powerful, and we use it in such a way where we don't use medications in our family. And again, if we have an emergency, trust me, I want morphine maybe if I break my leg or whatever, but none of those create better healing patterns in the body. They actually slow down the healing pattern. So I want people to understand that background, because we have to source the best stuff in the world. Whether I'm doing using a certain lab or a certain test in our office or a nutritional formula, I have to make sure it's the best in the world to keep our track record of over 15 years. It's been since I've had a prescription. So my wife was diagnosed infertile before we met, told she would never have kids. We have 4 kids now. She had PCOS, endometriosis. She no longer really has those issues anymore. My brother has had ulcerative colitis. He's no longer has clinical ulcerative colitis. He hasn't had an issue in over 6 years, no medication. My sister was diagnosed with lupus years ago. She's not on any medication. She no longer has lupus symptoms, right? So I'm not saying we're curing stuff. I can't say that. That's not okay for us to say. I'm not even going to tell you I'm treating certain things, because that's not okay for us to say either. And I don't want to treat something. Go to your medical doctor for treatments of conditions, right? But what treatment means does not mean, what it doesn't mean is a cure or addressing the cause of the problem. You're treating an issue, hopefully lowering that fire, bringing that fire down some, but it's still there. It's still going to, probably get worse over time. So I do that background story just so people understand where I'm coming from. This is how we live our lives. And so we always, again, source the best stuff. So CBD is just a funny thing. I mean, Russell, I don't know what you want me to get into here, but I mean, there's an endocannabinoid system in every single one of our bodies watching this right now. It's crazy. In medical school, we learn what's that?
Yeah, I was just going to get into, I have a biology degree for undergrad with genetics background, and we're taught about the nervous system, we're taught about the pulmonary system, we're taught about the cardiovascular system, the immune system, but 20 plus years ago, we were never taught about the endocannabinoid system, and learning about all this extra stuff now, and it's amazing from learning from you how to me, it's like the endocannabinoid system is a matrix for all the other systems, like put it all together.
Yeah,
so I'll let you talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's true. So we've all had this blanket over our head. We've all been duped, basically. So that endocannabinoid system was discovered about 27 years ago in Israel. And while it was illegal to even research these groups of plants that have been around for over 10,000 years, it was illegal to research these plants for a period of time, like 70 or 80 years in the United States. Just from that's mind-boggling. Like, why were those plants illegal to even research? It makes you wonder, like, what's going on here? What are we trying to hide? And we know overwhelmingly now there was never a negative stigma created towards them because they were harmful, because they created hallucinations, like some of these people claim that marijuana and hemp creates these issues. And I want people to understand this is not medical marijuana that we're talking about, by the way. It's the pure organic plants, not these plants that have been bred to create huge amounts of THC for the people that want to get high, right? And there's a time and place actually for THC with cancer patients and some other things that they're finding out. But it's also funny to me that the THC stigma created this stigma to all of us, this misconception that these plants are dangerous. They're not dangerous. The research is overwhelming. And again, they were illegal to research here for 80 years. And now 27 years ago, they found out that we do have an endocannabinoid system. We learned in school there's a nervous system, a cardiovascular system, all those other systems you mentioned. We never learned about the endocannabinoid system. That would be like knowing, take your knowledge right now, and then let's just leave out the nervous system. And then we study all the other systems, right? We can't really deal with health properly if we're missing a whole system. So we know now that there is an endocannabinoid system, and every organ in your body has receptors for these CBD, lock and key basically. So just like enzymes, if I give you the enzyme lactase, you're going to break down milk sugar called lactose, right? That has a very specific a key and lock scenario where it is only focused on that type of receptor, and all of our organs have these receptors for the CBD molecule. And remember, when I say CBD, I want you guys to understand we're talking about a plant fluid that's raw, phytonutrient dense, kind of like if I eat a GMO orange versus eating an organic orange. They both look the same. We call them both the same thing. This is very different in my body compared to this one, though. Physiologically, micronutrient, phytonutrient wise, it's very different, even though we call it the same thing and it looks like the same thing. It is not the same thing. So a lot of these oil companies are using, honestly, the process that we have for these plants now is unheard of. There's people in the oil industry that want this process really badly, okay? So I'll kind of leave it at that. But it's something that they didn't think existed before. Everybody's used to these oils. We have our essential oils, frankincense oils, CBD oils, and that's great. And there's a time and place for everything, kind of. But I want to make sure if I'm giving that to myself or my patients or any of my loved ones, I want to make sure it's the pure plant. We know raw organic broccoli is far better for me than a synthetic vitamin off the shelf. It has very different things in it, but tiny little doses that are really good for me as opposed to these isolates in a high dose. So these plants, it takes 2 drops, right, for a dose of our fluid, because it's 80 to 90% absorbed in my body. That's how I want it, naturally absorbed. It's pure plant, raw, phytonutrient rich, as opposed to an oil. I like to use like enriched white bread. The oil extraction process for these plants is so invasive. Usually there's tons of chemicals involved, alcohols, solvents, heat, CO2, all these processes to get this oil out of the plant. Well, it's like enriched white bread. We do all of these chemical extraction processes to white bread, to create white bread, and it's a dead food now. It's literally, it'll stay on a shelf a long time. It tastes really good. It's soft. It stays fresh for a long time, fresh, right? And so they do that for processing. So it sits on a shelf for a long time. And then they realized when they first created enriched white bread that's literally bleached, they pour bleach on it. That's how they create it. And it's so nutrient void, they learned that it was making people sick or rats or whatever experiments they did. And they had to enrich it. So here's another key word in kind of the supplement CBD industry. If it's enriched or it's fortified, it was a poor attempt to put back in that product what was damaged through extraction. That's the end of the conversation, really. CBD oils are invasive. It's not the pure plant anymore. Even if it's a raw oil extraction, even if they add the terpenes back into it, even if they call it full spectrum, again, that goes back to the marketing kind of joke that we're with. It's who can market better, who has the prettier packaging, who has the best verbiage, and it's funny because I'm noticing a lot of these companies that have kind of copied a lot of the words that we've been using for quite a while now, like the entourage effect, right? All 400 or more nutrients working together in tiny, tiny doses, not a big dose of CBD or a big dose of THC. It's tiny doses of everything. That's how my body understands it. So the entourage effect, the full spectrum, the water soluble, okay? Let me explain the water soluble a little bit. And I'm not trying to badmouth companies. We're kind of tired of, honestly, the tricks and stuff that are happening. People just kind of go along with it because we don't know better until we know different. And so it's like homogenization of milk. Remember when milk used to be delivered and there was like fat globules on top? I don't remember that, but I've read a little history. My parents said that. The fat globules of the milk when it was delivered to our door was like floating on top. So people didn't like that. It wasn't sexy, so to speak. So what they learned is, well, if you homogenize it, that's a process to basically force the fat globules through high pressure, and you alter the fats. So now I have this glass of milk, and I don't see the fat on top anymore. It's mixed in. So it's water soluble, but it's still fat. Fat is fat. Fat is only absorbed so well if you have the right enzymes and right nutrients, and all my digestive organs are working properly, then I absorb those good fats. But that's why a lot of oils, they're only 6 to 10% absorbed. because they're nano emulsion or homogenized or whatever, but it's trick words. So it's kind of exhausting, honestly, trying to explain this to people, because it's just, there's so many things that you can do to dupe people, and just call it CBD. You know, we have all these products in this big CBD category, but I'd say at least 9 out of 10 of those products are garbage. They're mediocre, or they're not as pure as they need to be. So
and it gets frustrating because, you know, all these people are buying these products that are out there. Four out of 5 don't even have CBD in them, correct?
yeah.
And then, you know, a lot of these people that are getting some of the CBD, like you just said, 6 to 10% absorption of an oil. So yes, they're going to get a mild benefit of it, but they're missing out on such a major component of what CBD can offer them. So by using a product like your CBD fluid that I started using myself also, we're increasing the absorption up to 90%. So, you know, with a dosage of only 2 drops versus the oils needing a full dropper full, or even 2 dropper fulls, which could be 10 to 20 drops. You know, it's just amazing. I've noticed a huge difference, and you can even taste the difference in the CBD. One thing I wanted to add in with endocannabinoid system, what people don't understand is a lot of people are just buying the CBD because they hear it's good for this symptom or that symptom, and they don't realize how it works. But you know, like you were saying, vitamin C, but a big thing like collagen, people understand our body ages more as collagen levels deplete. So people have learned to take more collagen to try and rebuild the collagen levels. And we actually have CBD in our bodies, and it gets depleted over time. So CBD, a quality CBD product, helps build up those CBD levels to help strengthen that endocannabinoid system.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there's so many angles I could go with that, but the CBD, again, it's, understand that don't take this to help my anxiety. Don't take this to help my digestion. Don't take this because it helps my migraines. Don't take this because you name something, and we could probably dig up some literature that indirectly, at least, ties into that condition. And your endocannabinoid system is in every organ, whether it's your pancreas with diabetes, whether it's in my heart for heart disease issues. We are starving. Our endocannabinoid systems are starving because the CBDs, so to speak, were in lots of different plants and high concentrations. The more natural you are, the more CBD you have in the body. But your body tries to produce this thing. It's essential. It's essential. It's not a gimmick or a luxury. It's not the newest trend. We've always had an endocannabinoid system, and it wasn't discovered until 27 years ago, but it's always been good for us until we kind of learn this new piece of information that we say, oh, that's why it's working. So we have this endocannabinoid system that all of us are missing. Again, picture if I never learned about the nervous system, how would I think about the human body at that point? I would think very differently. Now that we know there's an endocannabinoid system, a lot of stuff, common sense, kind of just makes more sense now. Your endocannabinoid system plugs in your nervous system, which controls everything, right? That's why chiropractors are so passionate about what they do, is we want to connect your brain to the rest of your body, and that's through your spine. So if you have nerve interference anywhere, it's going to mess things up. If I don't have my endocannabinoid system plugged in properly and it's deficient, things are going to get jacked up also, right? So it plugs your nervous system into your endocrine system, into your immune system. Those are the direct communications, let alone this affects every other system in the body. But if this is starving, these 3 systems can't do their job properly. So that's why we get this full spectrum, no pun intended, right, of testimonials from people, because I don't want them. It's a communication thing. I tell people, don't take this for your anxiety. Don't take this for that, whatever. 1 in 2 of us or 1 in 3 of us now will get cancer at some point in our lives. That's what experts are saying. Because of exponentially how much cancer is increasing over time, they say now 1 in 3 of us will get cancer. Not that we'll die from it, but we'll get cancer at some point in our life. Just from that statistic, I'm taking a good CBD product, right? We have to do things very differently to beat the odds of heart disease, #1 killer, cancer, #2, medical intervention is #3. Most people don't understand that that's true. That's from the British Medical Journal. And medications is the 4th leading cause of death. So if I'm missing, and hormones help us feel good, right? Hormones control your energy, We can get into parasympathetic versus sympathetic nervous system stuff, but it basically just allows the body to heal better when we plug in the endocannabinoid system, my immune system, right? Those are maybe the cancer testimonials you've heard about. My endocrine system. We've had people where they said their hot flashes got better or their sex drive went up or whatever, that it affects hormones, but we're not even dealing with the hormone system, right? It's just plugging in this missing link, just like I think a lot of people now know, nowadays know that we need magnesium. Magnesium's in over 300 different chemical reactions in the body. It's essential. We need it. Most of us are deficient. And so when you plug that in, my calcium works better, my vitamin K works better, my bone density gets stronger. That's just from plugging in this one little missing link called magnesium. So it's the same thing with the endocannabinoid system. So it's exciting when people get past the idea of treating something and then you start taking this to be healthier and plug in that system. And we just kind of sit back and watch what happens. And some people 30 days later, they say, this didn't work for me. I'm like, well, what do you mean this didn't work for you? That's like saying the banana you ate last week didn't work for you. That makes zero sense because it's not a treatment. It's a deficiency that you want to nourish for a long time because we've been deficient. Okay, nursing women produce CBD. It transfers through the breast milk to the baby, and the baby gets CBD from mom. Again, this is not a luxury. This is part of your physiology, and we are all deficient. So again, when I know that common sense information, then I say, okay, well, I'm going to take CBD for myself and my family and everybody I know. If you're passionate about helping people, I want everybody I know to take this stuff because it's that important. When you see what you and I see on a daily basis in our practices, it makes us do things differently in our lifestyles because I don't want all those other issues that I'm helping my patients with. I want to avoid those if I can. I want to do certain things so I beat the odds of heart disease, cancer, medical intervention, and medication as the top 4 leading causes of death. So you want to think differently, and that's the biggest thing I can try to get past this. Try to get under in somebody's knowledge database is because it's not about treating things. It's about optimizing health and doing things different than your neighbors, or you're going to end up a statistic like everybody else around us. We all get opinions from our family and friends. Oh, you have a cold, go do this and that. Somebody else, oh, you have a cold, I've got a great remedy for that, do this and that, right? So honestly, I want people to stop doing what their neighbors are doing, which sounds funny because we're screwing this up. When you look at our healthcare and our health, our lifespan and overdoses on just normally prescribed medications, medical intervention being the 3rd leading cause of death, you want to do things differently to beat those odds. So
people are symptom based, so they are looking for answers, but like you said, this is based off a deficiency of CBD in our body because it is a naturally occurring thing. There are many benefits that people are looking for from CBD, and you did go over some of them. Let's talk about, basically like the big 5 benefits that people are searching for, an answer.
Rose up a little bit there. There you go. That's right.
Yeah, well, so, I was trying to come there.
Yeah, no problem. So people know that we're all stressed, right? As Americans, we are stressed. We are stressed. We're having heart attacks daily. I mean, they say half of us will be affected by heart attack or heart-related issues at some point in our life. 1 in 3 of us get cancer now. I hear stories all the time of how a family member got a surgery and they're not here anymore because they got an infection maybe they didn't have before the surgery, medication overdoses. Like, it is absurd. So really the number one thing that I want people to understand of what this helps, which affects everything else in your body, is the sympathetic versus the parasympathetic nervous system. You and I are go, go, go all the time. We're eating too many processed foods. We have too many chemicals in our environment. We're not sleeping enough. We have too much on our plate. We're go, go, go. I have 4 kids I'm chasing around. We've got a busy practice and a million other things. Life is busy as Americans. It's just a fact. So when you have this sympathetic nervous system just firing all the time, you start to get tired. I start to need a cup of coffee in the morning. Eventually I need 2 cups. Eventually I need 3 cups because you're getting all this adrenal stress, which is hormone related type things. That's why it's harder than ever to get pregnant in history. Your hormones are very important. And so when you look at the sympathetic versus parasympathetic, this is your fight or flight that we learn in school. This is your rest digest. The biggest thing CBD does is it helps us get into this parasympathetic state. So my mom, for example, she sleeps, when she starts getting a little anxious and stuff, she takes a couple drops, and she tells me like 15 minutes later, I don't even remember what I was stressing about, right? So that's what can happen in some people, but it's all about their nervous system and endocrine system. I want to be in parasympathetic more because we're not there enough. Well, if I'm in parasympathetic more, I'm just going to heal better. It's that simple. You heal when you're in this rest digest state, but we're always over here. So we wonder why we have all these degenerative chronic conditions, and we're sick. We're so sick, it's crazy. And most of us just run to the urgent care if we get a cold. And now we get antibiotics and steroids, and that suppresses my immune system even more because, again, we're not addressing the cause. We're just treating those symptoms over time. So that's the number one thing, because if I can heal better and I'm in parasympathetic more and I'm in rest digest more, everything gets better. Your cells are constantly dying off and regenerating. So I have a poster in our office somewhere. It talks about how all the different tissues in your body regenerate. So we all know, we learn in biology, your red blood cell has about 120-day half-life, right? Your stomach is brand new every 5 days, though. Your physical stomach was not there 6 days ago. Every cell has died off in your stomach, and it's been replaced with a new cell. What am I rebuilding that new cell with? Well, that's where nutrition comes in. That's why half of our practice is nutrition-based, because if all I do is fix your nervous system, we work on your structure and all that stuff, yeah, you're going to do great, and you need it. It's essential. However, if I'm missing the building blocks for that healing process, it's not going to work very well. And so just by getting into parasympathetic more, I'm going to sleep better, which means I'm going to heal better. I'm going to have less anxiety because I'm not as tired and run down throughout the day. I mean, it's amazing. So, but I would say the common things that people see, like 4 out of 5 people, let's say, that are anxious, I would say 4 out of 5 notice or comment to us that, yeah, that helps relieve some of that. Insomnia, I mean, that's a big one. We hear people sleeping better. Kind of like my mom, I'm just handling stress better. Like I just don't worry about the silly things I shouldn't be worrying about anymore. There's so many things. It's so hard. I mean, this is a part of our protocol for almost every human being that comes through our practice now, because it's that important. Again, it would be like all of us not knowing we had a nervous system and just totally jacking it up over the decades. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we have a nervous system. Oh, you need to take care of it. Oh, you need to set goals. Oh, you need to, get this communication from your brain to the rest of your body working properly, to function properly. So this is just when you get pieces of information over time, you just start making different choices, hopefully, right? And knowledge without application is ignorance, right? But knowledge with application is wisdom. So we all know a lot of this stuff, but when you get these extra pieces of information, we kind of do things differently sometimes. So it's pretty cool to see what happens, honestly. And I just like to sit back. I want to get somebody on the proper dose, and we can work up and down a little bit over time. It's all safe. I'm not going to hurt you. Even if I drink the whole bottle of the fluid that we have, it's not going to hurt me. I might get diarrhea or something, but it's not going to hurt me. And it's so funny to me that people ask me for, where's the third party, peer-reviewed, double-blind study on this particular topic? I'm like, dude, do you need a double-blind third-party, study showing that gravity works? Like, it's just silly. What we need evidence before we do something, right? We have people that question taking nutrition or taking this plant medicine stuff that we talk about, and they're researchers all of a sudden, and they have to go learn about it. Well, where's the study showing it's beneficial? But then I give you an opioid prescription, and it's like, okay, my doctor knows best. You don't question it, not realizing there's an epidemic right now with people dying every few seconds from opioids, which was a FDA, accepted means. And now they're saying, oh, it was a bad idea. So we don't want to wait till the FDA starts guiding us. It's just kind of silly what we're doing. Opioids were FDA approved. Twinkies are FDA approved. So why do I need FDA approval to start taking this naturally occurring plant or a vitamin? It's really just silly to me what we question and kind of how we've been conditioned. And I think part of that is kind of the thing I always talk about. Most of us don't realize there's only 2 countries in the world that allow direct pharmaceutical to consumer advertising. Us and New Zealand. It's illegal. If I show you a Zoloft commercial in France, I go to jail. But we just think it's normal because we grew up this way. Every 4th commercial is a pharmaceutical commercial. So I think that's part of the problem, is even myself, we're all conditioned. If you start, saying some of these quotes that we hear in the media and stuff, like the Marlboro Man, some of those quotes, like we can all spit that out. And I haven't heard that commercial in 25 years or whatever, but it's conditioned in us. So whether we think we are or not, we are conditioned. And so I think that's part of it, is just the conditioning process that we've been exposed to here in the United States specifically, and our habits. So again, that's why I want people to think differently. Don't do the same things your neighbors are doing, because you're going to fall into the same statistics they are. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, you tied in a lot of the benefits that we're going to discuss all together. The parasympathetics. You talked about sleep because that deals with mood and
Hmm.
anxiety. Another thing that I see all the time in my office are adrenal and thyroid issues. You know, Sorry about that. Another call tried coming through. Um, the Everyone wants to call now.
Yeah.
CBD has great benefits on the adrenals, the thyroid, on your gut. We talk about gut health all the time because of it being the second brain, and
Hmm.
so many aspects to the health. And another thing you and I deal with a lot of the times as chiropractors, people come to us constantly about pain. Everybody
Yeah.
experiences pain. Yeah.
I was just going to say that's a big reason, right, that people take this. And we haven't even talked about that benefit yet. So, I mean, 80% of adults have low back pain, for example, right? Anything that ends in itis is inflammation. So, how else does CBD work? It helps with inflammation. Every disease process, every condition you could be diagnosed with is inflammatory to some degree. It's excess inflammation in a certain tissue. In the bronchioles, we call that asthma, right? Or bronchitis or whatever. So it's just inflammation. So does CBD help with inflammation? Yeah, like it's been proven to significantly affect that with no side effects like the opioids that we've been talking about. It's a plant. You're getting other phytonutrients that are good for who knows what else in our body because it's not an isolated chemical. So yeah, we haven't talked about pain, but that's one of the biggest reasons people try CBD too. But I always want them to realize if you've spent 30 years trashing your body and you've had tendonitis in your elbow for 5 years, don't just take this for 30 days and expect it to fix that 30-year problem. It's just people are kind of funny. We want that quick fix, right? We like morphine. In 15 minutes, I feel amazing if I take morphine. But I'm not any more healthy just because I feel amazing. I'm actually more sick because my liver has to process the morphine and all these other things. So how we feel and how we function are very different things. So at least try it for a period of time if you have aches and pains. Anything in itis, right? Tendonitis, colitis, right? All of those things can be affected by CBD. And I always want to direct people to, Doc, to projectcbd.org, because that's just a good resource. If I type into the search box, it's a kind of a non-biased third-party kind of CBD research type evaluation tool. It's really cool. They've done a good job. And so you could type in diabetes and CBD, and then you'll come up with all the articles that kind of talk about how the pancreas is affected, blood sugar. Again, insulin's a hormone. We talked about the endocrine system. So when I eat too much sugar, which is all of us listening to this, you release too much insulin. Insulin's a hormone, so it throws off my other hormones like testosterone and everything else. And so it helps with that as well. So it's hard to even explain what the benefits are because it's infinity. It's exponential. It's something that, again, 1 + 1 + 1 should be 555, not 3. That's how the body works. But in medicine, we try to isolate things. And how does this one molecule affect this one condition? That's how science and treatments of conditions are. But again, so rarely they study, for example, sometimes they study to some degree, right, a vaccine like the flu vaccine. There's minimal studies on that, but they've never really compared the flu vaccine with the shingles vaccine, right? They don't tell you that. What about HPV with the flu vaccine? They don't do those studies, right? And we know that synergy is powerful, whether it's a negative power and I combine medications wrong and I have an issue because of that, or I combine them properly, such as everything in that apple that's good for me, it has a whole different effect. So it's impossible to isolate these things and cause a treatment. I don't want to treat something. That's the whole point. I want to make you healthier. If I get you healthy enough, Doc, does it matter the name of the condition we're trying to diagnose you with, right? We're trying to label this thing when we can just do common sense things to improve my physiology, improve my body closer to homeostasis, and get things just functioning better. And then we just see what happens. So that's the cool thing with it.
And that's the basic chiropractic, ideology, is getting the body to function better, to heal better, and by bringing in the nutrients and vitamins and minerals that the body needs. And again, going back to the gut, the prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes. These are all things that we can always discuss. Going back to pain relief, a lot of people are looking into stem cells. It's expensive stem cell treatments and everything. CBD actually benefits stem cell regeneration.
So do enzymes. So do other plants, right? Other herbs. Stem cells are already within us. So to get a stem cell shot in place for that, absolutely. But like everything, it's probably 90% overutilized. So yeah, your body creates, you can create these stem cells. You probably know about telomeres in my DNA. Chiropractic actually makes your telomeres bigger over time. So does good nutrition, so does diets. And that's your lifespan. The longer the telomeres are in your DNA, the longer you live. And most of the things we're doing, all the caffeine, all the processed foods, all the chemicals, we're shortening our telomeres, okay? So just look that up, telomeres and aging or whatever. You'll come up with all kinds of stuff. But it does all this already. So I see people getting on these glutathione products, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing necessarily. There's some decent products out there, but your body already produces it if given the right opportunity, if I create the good internal environment to create that. So I can take certain things in plants that help me create more glutathione. So I don't need to necessarily supplement with some of this stuff. I want the natural form that I can give my body so my body can then produce those natural things as it needs to. So.
And to start winding down with the Facebook Live that we have going on, what we should talk about a little bit is what makes our CBD different than the CBD oils that everyone is dealing with, in the absorption, in the process of it, and you already went over some of it earlier, but let's do a little synopsis so people can know better how they can get the optimal benefit of what CBD really is.
Yeah, and first of all, too, like anybody that's watching this, don't just go out and buy stuff. Talk to Doc, talk to myself, message us, whatever. We've been in this arena for a very long time. We know some of the funny tricks that can be played. So just ask us. We're not going to just tell you something to try to sell it. But if I practice something myself that I know works the best way and I happen to sell it too, don't get mad at me. I should congratulate you. If you're being congruent with what you do in your life and what you believe in, as opposed to people that are just trying to sell something. So most of the time we don't make any money off what you're doing anyway. But we can direct you in the right places to get some of this. This is why we do this, because again, we're tired of people being duped, all the games that the marketers play. And so this fluid is very unique. It takes 2 drops for a dose as opposed to 20 or more drops of oils. And again, they're incomplete. You need a lot more of them for a lesser effect on the body. So it's funny to me when people say, well, this is $100 or around $100. That's expensive. I'm like, okay, I get it. I understand. But it is the cheapest per dose. So if it's a matter of making this bottle last you 3 months, get that one because it is the best absorbed that we've ever found, right? So, but they don't realize also that they could go get that $45 bottle of oil and nobody talks about their cost per dose. So they get this $45, they say this is a lot cheaper. It's less than half the price. It's not absorbed very well. You probably go through a bottle a week because of its absorption, because of the therapeutic benefit you're lacking from it. So now I'm talking 45 times 4 for that month, right? So it's just kind of silly to me. If somebody can't afford the care that we offer, for example, let's say I know a guy in town that charges like $120 for an adjustment. And it's like, if you love that doctor so much, I'm not going to tell you not to go to him. Go less often then. If he raises his prices to $150, maybe instead of coming in once a month, you come in every month and a half, and it's still going to be a trade-off, right? So I just want to make sure what I'm giving myself and my family, it's the cleanest, the most pure, because we are just bombarded by chemicals, as close to the actual plant growing in nature as possible. It's really that simple. I want the raw organic orange. I don't want a orange pie or a cooked orange dish because it's dead food. It's a processed food now. So the proprietary extraction process that a friend of ours years ago kind of accidentally created this, and the oil industry didn't even think it was possible. So there's no chemicals, again, no heat, no CO2. It's raw plant. It's like 80 to 90% intact still as the natural plant that was growing in the field. And so it's a proprietary process, so we can't tell you everything that goes into it because people try to steal this. They're trying to steal it as we speak right now. It's a process that the oil industry did not even think was possible, first of all, okay? They literally just thought it was impossible. They had no idea that this type of extraction could happen. And so the other thing is, it's an unusual situation where, we know the right people to send you to that we trust, that we've had experience with, right? And that's what we want to help people get their hands on some good stuff because we realize the supplement industry is just corrupt, and it's a nasty thing that's going on out there. And it's just people trying to sell product, which is really frustrating. So I don't know if that helps, but it's a proprietary process that keeps the plant as intact as anything that we've ever discovered.
And what I tell a lot of people too, like you went over, people saying they got their bottle for $50. They tell me that all the time, but when I tell them our bottle is a month's supply, and they need 3 to 4 or 5 bottles in a month. The great thing with ours, not only can it be used sublingually, it can actually be used topically too. So you don't have to buy a CBD oil and then go out and buy a Solve also, which doesn't actually absorb through the skin anyway. And a great test that anyone can use with their CBD oils, take a couple drops of your oil and put it in a glass of water, and you'll see that it just will not dissipate and disperse through the water. And because ours is a fluid, it actually dissolves and disperses all the way through, which is great. Yeah,
it's an awesome topical. So I've had friends put it on like literally a cramp that started like in their forearm, and they just rubbed a drop on there real quick because they had it in their pocket. Like went away within seconds. So topically it works awesome too. So let's say I have low back pain. Well, I'm going to take it internally because pain is very complex inside of my body. There's so many different types of pain and compensation effects, and it's not as easy as you hurt here, let's fix right there. It doesn't work that way in the human body. It works that way in a car, but not the human body. So I'm going to take it internally if I have pain and some other things, but also put it on topically. I've had people drop it on little wounds and scratches and little blemishes, and sometimes those start to go away too. So it's a safe plant that we've known about for 10,000 years, but it was illegal here for the last 70 or 80 years. That's why all of us are thinking this is weird stuff. What's the CBD trend? What is, this should be illegal. We're still stuck in that old mindset, the old mentality that, drugs are bad. It should have never been a Schedule 1, Class 1 drug. It should have never been in the same category as meth, cocaine, right? It's crazy. When you look at the history with it, it was all due to money, the oil industry, cotton, the Declaration of Independence, I learned this here recently, right, was written on hemp paper, right? So this is not something new, but we've been blind to it because of politics and finances. That's literally the reason that all of us aren't taking a good product right now. And the reason that a lot of us still, even watching this, may have this negative stigma towards those plants still, which I was one of those people at one point. So.
I want to thank you, Dr. Tim, for taking the time out of your day, to join us. If anyone has any questions at all, feel free to reach out to Dr. Tim Harrigan. He's out in Arizona. I'm Dr. Russell Brockstein. I'm a chiropractor in Freehold, New Jersey. If you found this video insightful, you learned a lot, please click the likes, give us a couple of those hearts out there, give comments below, we'll answer them, as we get to them, and, share this with other people, because there's just so much product out there, CBD oils, that people are literally throwing their money away. They're not getting the benefit. And, from an oil, if you're only getting 6 to 10% benefit from that product, you're basically throwing away 90 to 95% of your money. So
well, and that's the thing. Everybody watching this, Doc, they're thinking about, my wife, my kids, my grandma with this condition. I know that's going through everybody's heads right now, because that's what goes through my head. If I find something potentially helps the people around me, I'm on board. I don't care if you tell me I'm trying to sell you something. I am authentically trying to help you. So, you kind of have to be a warrior in this industry, honestly, because we're all sold to all the time. And I get it. We're numb to being sold to. Nobody wants to be sold to. So keep an eye out for more videos and stuff, you guys. This is our purpose. This is our mission, to try to get more awareness, to try to help people. Our lifespan is getting worse as we speak. Our kids will not outlive us as parents, which is crazy. So let us know how we can help. I mean, this is what we are designed to do for you guys. So please let us know.
Yeah, we want to educate you. Dr. Tim and myself, this is a lifestyle for us. We're not, like he says, we're not out just pushing product. I use the products. Dr. Tim uses these products. He uses it with his entire family. And it's all about getting the nutrients and everything the body needs to be healthier. We got to get off these drugs, just running to the doctor for symptoms. And, I guess that's about it for now, Dr. Tim. Hopefully we'll be able to do one of these again, and hopefully people, would want to, learn more from what you have to share.
Yeah, and if you guys aren't either of our friends, just friend request us. I have a few more Facebook Lives happening over the weekend too with some similar topics. So just tune in, guys. Let us know if we can help you out at all. Okay.
Thanks again,
Doc.
Dr. Tim. Everyone have a great weekend. And again, like and share, and we'll see you all soon.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye now.